Hey guys, I'm Mark,
I'm Alen.
and welcome to another episode of The Next Man Up.
Mark, gobble gobble, buddy.
Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
Happy Thanksgiving. Such a cool time, man. Good time to be thankful. Good time to eat. Good time to be just with family and such. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, really, really cool. Gets me ready for my favorite holiday of the year.
I assume that would be Christmas.
Oh, I love Christmas, man.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Good for you.
I love it. I say Merry Christmas all year round, and I say it for all sorts of reasons. That's another episode. But I don't know what it is, man. Maybe it's the movies, maybe it's whatever. But this idea that of joy, of peace being like our central focus.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome, and I see people more kinder, and more thoughtful and more mindful of their fellow human beings. And it's just a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful time of year. And I was cold. I can't stand the cold. I can't, jeez. But the essence of it is really cool. For me, I focus on Jesus Christ and what his being born into this world like meant for us. And I know not everybody follows that or whatever, but peace on earth, joy. I mean, looking to do well for your fellow human beings. It just comes about more around this time of year, and it makes me happy. It just I feel like all of my peoples around me are actually aiming the same way that I am, and it's a beautiful thing.
We're kind of unified.
Yeah, about the flourishing of humankind.
Yeah.
I love it.
So altruistic and philosophical. I was thinking you were going to go down the path of a friend that I was with just the other day who's already got his first Christmas tree up. The second Christmas tree is going up this weekend. And I was with a bunch of guys, and he was telling the story. We're all looking around like, man, it's early November and you've already got your stuff up already? What is going on?
Dude, you know what? I watched the 1950s Christmas Carol.
Oh yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
It's it's almost uneventful because, our technology has gone way beyond when it was made and such, but it's the essence of it all that just gets me, man. And yeah, dude, I love putting up Christmas decorations. Dude, I will pig out.
Yes.
I will pig out.
Yes.
But the essence of it is just beautiful to me. Anyway, with that, I digress.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
So, what's up today, man? What are we doing?
Well, there's this big word that gets kicked around a lot, has a lot of different meanings. We talk about it occasionally here. It's this word called masculinity. And I saw something, I'm fond of trolling the internet for articles and whatnot. And I saw this article. I've said this before. The headline got me. I had to look into it. But the title of this article is "The World's Most Masculine Men on Raising Better Boys." Oh man. How could that not be right in the crosshairs of what we're talking about here?
Straight up hook into the lip and just yanking.
That's
yanking.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Oh gosh, it's the proverbial cookie jar up on top of the cabinet that we must have. What an interesting sentence.
Yeah.
What an interesting statement. The world's most masculine men. That right there, got me.
So there's so much to unpack just in that sentence. And I told you this before we started recording. The website that has provided this article is really trying to get eyeballs.
Yes.
So they got them. But beyond that, what my initial reaction is, how do you define most masculine?
Yes, exactly.
That was what I wanted to know right off the bat, because right there gives a glimpse of the worldview, dare I say, of at least the author, maybe even the editor, but the worldview of that definition of masculinity. And I had a suspicion of what it would be like, and I was not too far off based on where it went.
Because right underneath, right, it's like how race car drivers, hunters, Arctic explorers, and bull riders model masculinity for their children.
Right.
It's like,
so we've just defined the most masculine men in categories of more like extreme sports or extreme activities.
Yeah. Well, then I'm not masculine.
Right?
That's what it does. Like,
right,
exactly.
Shuts me up.
I'm
out.
like,
okay, I'm done.
Dude,
I fold.
Look, man, if we can get real for a second, like, okay, so there are just some things that there's a stereotype about what black men will be about. Like, for instance, you don't see a lot of black men like in scary movies, like older scary movies, because we don't stay in the haunted houses. Like, if the house is haunted, we're not staying. We're not going to talk to the ghosts. We're not going to talk. Like, you know, like that's a stereotype, right? And I've always been one to try to break stereotypes and whatever. Is, you know, especially when it concerns me and who I am and such. And so but there is some of this stuff that I'm just like, for me personally, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not jumping out of an airplane. I'm just not going to do it. You want to know why? Because, you know, I don't want to die. Right. I just don't. So
you do know that most of the time when well equipped and trained, you don't die, right? It's not like an either or, stay in plane or die.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, I'm not really trying to give it a chance. You know, there's a reason why I'm not like, you know, surfing 100-foot waves, because I don't want that huge shark to come out of nowhere and take a bite out of my leg or eat me whole.
Right.
And so, like, a lot of this stuff that they're pushing for, I'm going, then I guess I'm not masculine enough. I'm not one of the world's most masculine men.
Yeah.
And I step back.
It's just interesting though that we've created this ideal of masculinity that must involve these activities that are all about risk.
Yeah.
And we could go down a whole different path on really what is taking a risk, but it doesn't have to be just limited to surfing big waves, riding angry bulls, or racing cars. Now, at the same time, I love to watch a car race, or I enjoy watching surfers conquer big waves.
Sure.
It's not about diminishing those activities, and I admire the spirit, the drive, the competitive juice that makes somebody want to tackle that. Mostly because I don't have it. I'm not wired in those ways. Wow. I know what it would take for me to do that, and I just couldn't. Mm-hmm. And so I admire those that do. But to narrowly define that as representing ideal masculinity, it just leaves out so many of us.
Because you know what? I consider myself masculine. Like, I may not be, you know, climbing the greatest like iceberg near the Arctic that man has ever seen, but I climb my own. You know,
that's right.
And I've conquered my own fears, and I've climbed my own mountains, and such. And you know, I've dared the test of the journey of life, flying at 2 miles an hour, and sometimes it felt like 100 miles an hour. You know, so in our own ways, we're doing this stuff, but like, I don't want to be pigeonholed into this place where I feel like I'm not masculine, because I'm not doing it for your eyes to see. And it's not from like my perspective, or I can't say I'm doing it without giving a philosophical, like metaphorical, like turn of it, and leave me out of the picture of this community of men that I am a part of, without having to do that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just that affirmation that we're talking about, and it comes back also to how you define manhood, and we are biased away from the external and the activity to hang your man hat on,
Yeah.
and toward the internal, the characteristics, the qualities, the essence that we're about, and whether you're riding big waves or you're riding the bicycle around the neighborhood with your kids. Not to mean that a big surfer wouldn't do that too, but it's not glamorous. So you're not going to have TV cameras following you around. You're not going to get into the Guinness Book of World Records or anything like that. But you're doing you.
Yep.
And regardless of the activity, you can bring forth those characteristics of manliness, if you will, or of manhood that we're about. And it can be just much more inclusive.
Very, very. Dude, but, this article is fun.
It is.
It is fun. And when you get past the initial, like, I call those, like, verbal grenades.
That just goes off.
There. It's like, what? And it gets your attention. There's actually some pretty cool, like, statements made by... I guess some more known like fathers and such, like Cooper Davis is in here, Lan Tani's in, Tom Rosenbauer, Frank Grillo, who was in two of like probably the most known comic book movies out there. And so looking at Avengers, and looking at Civil War and stuff, like he's one of the action guys like in Marvel comic movies, and so he ends up dying. Spoiler alert! I
just don't reveal his character.
Yeah, I won't tell you who he is. Boom. No, I'm sorry, I won't say anything else. So I mean, there's a bunch of interesting folks in here, and they have some interesting things to say about them as a man, as them as like fathers, and just things that they've been able to accomplish. But I was looking at some of the things that when it came to like them as the man, like just looking at them as a man, what they had to say when it comes to their sons or what their fathers had to say about them. And so with Cooper Davis, I thought this was just interesting. It says that he says like, well, let me just read you what it says. Mac travels with his dad on tour, and as such, he is constantly surrounded by bull riders who are all men. While raising a boy in such a masculine environment, Davis puts an emphasis on very simply showing kindness. And he says, I show him how to be nice to people and respect everybody and respect yourself. If I can instill those in him, then I did my job as a dad.
So this is Cooper Davis, the bull rider, talking about his son Mac. Yeah.
And it's like, for me, when I read that, like, so I like to visualize things. So it's like his son travels with him on tour, and he's constantly surrounded by bull riders who are all men. Mm-hmm. I'm going, the picture that society paints for like for a bull rider is like, dude, you are a man's man.
Right.
Like, right? In other words, like, you are brash. You take nothing. Like, you mean? And like you give it all. You're not fearful, but like, man, you're like cut from like a rock. You know what I mean? And so you're hard as nails, and so I'm just thinking of a guy who will say whatever he wants to say and do whatever he wants to do, and like, like kind of like a screw you attitude to the world. I'll take you by the horns kind of deal. And then like here's Cooper Davis with his son in the midst of this like culture, and he goes, hey, I'm just want you to be kind.
Yeah.
Completely opposite, right?
Yeah, you're right.
I just want you to be kind. I want you to respect other people. Like, and by the way, you need to respect yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, I was telling you earlier, like when I was reading this, like for me, it's like Bob Ross coming into this crazy, like violent, like, no man's land painting, and just painting a little bush of kindness and going, stare at this bush of kindness in the midst of like these burning buildings
and Bob
fire and
Ross is the
brimstone.
happy little tree and happy little bush, right?
Like here's a little a bald eagle of respect for you to follow through the sky.
Yeah.
Like, it literally doesn't make sense, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and what he's like trying to instill in his son, man, that's awesome in the midst of the world that we live in, when it comes to like how men are portrayed and how we can act, and how we are taught to act. He's going the complete opposite way. Props to him for that.
Yeah, that's a great word picture. And you could replace bull riding with race car driving or NFL or corporate boardroom, whatever the environment where it tends to be this uber aggression, testosterone type of place. And here's this little point of light that's shining kindness and respect for others and for self.
It's awesome.
It is.
That's really awesome.
It really is.
So anyway, that's one of them. I thought that was cool. What did you have in there? I saw you pulling up something.
Yeah. So let me get to the one here. I think the guy's name is Rosenberg.
Rosenbauer?
Yes, Rosenbauer. So I got to admit,
I said this
Helio Castroneves is the only name in this list that I knew. That's the only name. I just know him from racing. I've heard his name around.
Bro, I owe you $10 just for saying that. Like,
that's my Spanish minor finally coming
awesome,
in handy.
Man. Like, wow, I would have butchered that.
No.
That's really good.
Yeah, so he's the only name I knew. So I'm just kind of scanning through this list, and Tom Rosenbauer is an accomplished fly fisherman.
Yeah.
And won't go through the credit here, but what stuck out to me was his comment. I know it hit you too. His comment when it comes to raising his son. Here it is, quote, "I don't tell my son anything about what it means to be a man. I feel he needs to develop his own persona, and it would be arrogant of me to tell him what it means." And there's a couple ways that we can unpack this, but my first reaction is, wait, what? You're not telling him anything?
Yeah.
Like you are dad.
Yeah.
And you have this responsibility and this opportunity to shape this young person who, by the way, is biologically wired to want to be like you.
Yeah.
It's the gift that boys are given when they're born. And you're not gonna tell them anything?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Oh.
I mean, I see that as such a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
And of course we've got no context. So we could presume and we could toss out some plausible scenarios, but on the surface it feels like such a waste.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I was like, wait a minute, dude, I mean, you defined it as we were talking through this earlier, like, that's so naive. And I was like, man, it's so true. That sounds naive. Like, to think that your son knows what it is to be a man, like, already, or that, he's and I know he says, like, I want him to develop his own persona. It's like, yeah, but we all learn by being taught.
Right.
But yet we discover things, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, but we learn from each other. And so you have the greatest like connection with your son, and you're the dad. Like, he's going to sit at your table and watch you and learn something.
That's right. That's where that naivete comes from, right? Like he's watching you, whether you're saying anything or not. He's watching you.
He's watching, and he's taking notes, man. Whether it be like how I'm going to be like a man, or how I'm not going to be like a man. He's taking notes.
Right. And
so why not take the opportunity to build with them? And that's not saying that we, I have a talk that I share with kids, and I say, you have to paint the picture when it comes to your future. You have to pick up the paintbrush, because if you don't pick up the paintbrush, then someone else will for you, and they'll help paint a picture for you that you don't want. And there's this idea that, we have to do it. And I get that here in this scene, or in this dialogue that he's sharing. But at the same time, it's like, nah, not only do we need to pick the paintbrush up and paint the picture because someone else will, but we also have to have our community come alongside of us in a positive way and help us paint the picture. First one's in a negative way because it's like you just become whatever like you become.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And whatever like your surroundings like push you towards and whatever. But like when you are like, no, dude, I want to be this type of person. I want to do this. I want to go after this in life. And you get people around in your community to see your vision and to see your heart and begin to help push you that way and help paint this picture for you. Like, that's a whole different story. And it feels like to me, like the dad's like, you know what? You're asking your community to come alongside of you, but I'm going to back out because I don't want to mistakenly give you the wrong thing. And it's like, dude, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
We have to step up. Fathers, we have to step up and put our arms around our sons and go, I want to help you become a man. Maybe I don't want you to become me, but I need to help you become a man.
Right.
And if we don't do that, someone else will. Someone else will put their arm around our sons and will say, I'll help you, whether that's in a positive way or in a negative way. And I don't want to give the 50-50 coin toss with my kid.
Yeah.
I want to go, dude, I'm going to come alongside you and I'm going to help you walk this journey out. Let's go.
We talked about this a couple episodes ago. Where would Luke Skywalker be without Yoda or without Ben Kenobi?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Because somebody else was ready and willing to come alongside of him and literally take him to the dark side.
Yeah. The dark side. I am your father.
Yes.
This is so true, man. So true. And maybe, I want to, like you said, I want to give disclaimer that I'm not sure where, Tom was heading with that statement. We don't know the context and whatever, but from a person reading it, like at face value, like I literally had to back up and go, wait a minute. No, that don't sound right.
You're right.
That don't sound right. We need to help our sons develop their persona of man.
The question I want to ask him, if he were across the table from me and I had the opportunity, I would say, hey, would you tell me about what your relationship was like with your father? I have no idea, but I wonder.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I wonder what his father gave to him, or maybe there's another experience in his life that made him want to pursue parenting in this way. But I just wonder what his father gave to him that he might be inadvertently or intentionally passing on, or would be like, I know what my father did to me, and I don't want to do that to you. So I'm swinging to the other extreme of I'm going to get out of your way. I'm going to let you figure it out on your own,
which is noble in a sense.
In a sense,
is noble. Like I'm reading above, like he talks about like fishing and how he never forced any of his kids to go fishing with them. He said he waited until they begged, and
they never did.
Never like I get that. Like with my son, I'm a breaker, a b-boy, and I never once forced him to do it. It was all because like he saw me do it, and he was like, I want to try that, and he tried it, and then the fad faded for him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't something that he was into, and he stopped. You know what I mean? So I get like not going, no, don't stop, keep going. I want you. I need to live through you. Like I get that. And so there's freedom in that for our kids. But like, dude, like we're not talking about fishing here. We're not talking about breaking here. We're talking about helping our boys see the path of manhood and walk it.
Yeah.
Like just walk it. And it sounds like he may not be doing that. And again, context and whatever. And Mr. Tom, if you're listening to this,
first of all, thank you. Great.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, but like I'm not dissing you. It's more of like I'm questioning where is this coming from, and if it means what I think it means. Fathers who are listening, like put your arm around your son's shoulder and help him find that path.
Yeah.
So
I don't know that this is his situation, but it makes me think also of the fathers that they're just afraid. they're afraid to engage because they don't know what to say or they don't know what to do. Their teenage son has begun to tune them out, or at least it would seem, right? Like through those teenage years where he doesn't want to be hanging with his dad, and okay, well, I don't want to bug him. I don't want to intrude. Like just that reticence to engage, either because of fear or because of not wanting to disrupt the relationship any further. But that's not, there's a better choice.
Yeah.
There's a much better choice.
And the choice is to engage.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form, man.
Yep. Well, Alen and I had a lot more to say about this article and this topic, and we continued on with the conversation, but we're going to break this conversation up into 2 episodes, and we'll wrap the first one here, and then we'll pick up where we left off for the next one. Hey listeners, thanks for journeying with us on this Next Man Up podcast. We would love to hear from you. Maybe you have a question or an idea, perhaps a topic for us to consider. If that's you and you want to reach out to us, you can get us at feedback@thenextmanup.com. That's feedback@thenextmanup.com. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you later.